All right, before we get going, I'm going to lead us in prayer to open up the event. So if you'd please be quiet and bow your heads, we're going to pray. Lord, we thank you for gathering these people together tonight. We want to see real change in our state and in our country, but the victory is yours, Lord. Convict our hearts to follow your commands as we strive to make our home a safe and prosperous place for our children. Guide us to make decisions that honor you. Help us to do justice, love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Before we get started, I would like to give a special shout out and a thank you to the venue here and to the management here at Love and War. They're very gracious to let us use this space. So please give a round of applause for the servers and the management here at Love and War. So please order food and drinks, tip your server well. We love to be here and we'd love to keep coming back here. Tonight we have for you the best candidates in Collin County. And I am proud that the Plano Young Republicans can be a hub for the true right-wing conservative flank of the Republican Party of Texas. The future leaders of this party are in this room with us tonight. And I'm not just talking about the candidates. I am confident that together, we are going to drag the Republican Party back to where it needs to be, putting Texans and Americans first. Before we begin, though, thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to just mention a few ground rules. Our first 5 speakers will speak for about 5 to 6 minutes apiece, and our last 3 speakers will speak for a bit longer than that. I will introduce each speaker as they come up, and I would love for them to explain, just tell a little bit about themselves, what they're running for, their vision for either the county, the state, or the nation, and then primarily how we can help rally behind them and help them get across the finish line with these runoffs that are coming up. If you see me waving at you from down there, it means it's probably time to bring the speech in for a landing, so just be aware of that and be conscious of the time. I would like to keep the totality of the speeches under about an hour so we can have plenty of time to socialize and network and get photos after the event. With that out of the way, I would like to introduce a very energetic and motivated woman who is running for the Collin County GOP chair. Please give a very warm welcome to Ellen Loveless.
Everybody, if I could have your attention, look at my way. Thank you very much. My name is Ellen Loveless, and I am running for Collin County Republican Party chair in the May 28th runoff election. So I'm a 6th-generation Texan. I have never lived anywhere else but Texas. Can I get an amen? Yeah. I've been in Dallas. I was born in Garland, so lived in Dallas County, then lived in Brazos County, then lived in the Houston area, down in Harris County, and then made it to Collin County in '98. Have been here ever since, and love Collin County. And we get to live in Collin County, Texas, right, everybody? That's right. So first, I'd like to thank the Plano Young Republicans for hosting us this evening. It's an honor to partner with you tonight and in this election. And y'all, I am so excited about this generation. You know what? This generation is bold, and they are on fire for things that are good, and they do not like anything that is watered down. They do not want a watered down Republican Party. They're tired of it. And so I'm excited that our next leaders coming up are standing firm in truth and our values, and we'll march those forward. And so I'm excited to partner with them. And I view this election as a multi-generational election, because I honor the generation that came before me, and I stand on their shoulders, and I'm grateful for what they've done and what they are still doing. My generation is still doing some cool stuff too, so I'm glad to be a part of it. And the generation coming up, the future leaders are amazing, and I'm excited to partner with them in this election. So this multi-generational election, we're gonna win together, and we all have the same goal to win. So in order to do so, let me tell you a few priorities that I have as your chair in order to win in every single race across Collin County in November. Every single race is the goal and will happen, right? So So I have 5 key priorities I'm going to run through really fast. 1, communication. We need to communicate better as a party because the Republicans do not do that well. We don't do it well nationally. I can't do anything about that, but I can do something about Collin County. I can unify our messaging. I can create messaging, talk to Austin and talk to people in Washington, create a message, find out what the important things that everyone needs to know, that our voters need to know, put it in the format that's good to read, easy to read, share it with our clubs, our precinct chairs, everyone else, and we're all sharing the same message in a unified voice. It's going to be heard, and it's going to be more widespread, and people are going to hear who we are. We're going to not apologize for who we are or being conservatives. We're standing firm on who we are. We're going to share that message well, and we're going to be on offense instead of defense. So that will start in November. Volunteers. It takes volunteers to win in November. I have a 2 decades long experience of leading volunteers. I was a children's pastor for a while. I co-founded a nonprofit summer camp ministry, and so I am a pro at recruiting, training, galvanizing volunteers to successful outcomes. And I know the value of a volunteer, and the lifeblood of this party is volunteers. So I'm excited to work with our wonderful volunteers, our precinct chairs, and others in order to get us there. Also, with our groups and our clubs, we're siloed. There's so much strength out there, and we're not working together. So we can work together. I don't want to tell the clubs what to do. Thank you. I don't want to tell the clubs what to do. I want to say, what are you good at and how can you lead? And you take care of that area. You take care of that area. You take care of this area. And let's do it together and know what each other are doing. So that's going to be really great with the volunteers. So also money. It takes money to win. So I will be asking for money. I'll be partnering with potential donors, our current donors, new donors all over the place. I have some ideas for some easy fundraisers. In addition to that, that will be for, I think, great specific items to advertise our candidates so they can win in November to help get their message out. So that is not a problem for me to ask for money. In fact, ellenloveless.com, you can donate $24 or more at ellenloveless.com. So I will be asking for money for our candidates in November because we need that. We need just really deep pockets in order to help advertise them well so the people can know they are actually the right candidate. That's the thing, is we have the right candidates. People just need to know who they are, so we need to be able to tell people. So that's what the money is about, yes. So time. There is no substitute for time, and fortunately, I have the time to invest in this role. My husband is our primary breadwinner, and we have grown children, one of whom is here, and I'm thankful. The other one lives in the Austin area, and he's about to move there too. But I have the time to invest in the party because my husband has allowed me to do that and being our primary breadwinner. So I can be full-time in this role, investing with the people, the donors, everything that needs to be done. And the last thing is the most important. Prayer. Join me, and I know you do, but together let's continue to pray for Collin County because without Jesus we experience disunity and chaos and corruption and greed and selfishness. Jesus is the answer and the redemption for order and unity and selflessness and generosity and more. And so together, let's just continue to seek the Lord and ask for those things because these are things that He wants for us. And so let's stand in victory with the Lord and for victory in Collin County and seek Him first. And together, all of these things together, we will win every race in Collin County in the 4 Republicans in November. So I'm Ellen Loveless. Please vote for me on May 28th in the runoff election so I can get to work to get these other candidates elected. Thank you.
That was great, Ellen. Thank you. Next, I would like to call up to the stage a successful businessman and former city councilman. He is running for the U.S. House of Representatives for District 32. Please welcome Darrel Day.
Thanks to you all, and let's hear another round of applause for Ellen. Is Ellen great or what? And I met her father tonight, who told me that he voted for me in the first go-round. So, yay, I love the Loveless family. Darrel Day running for Colin Allred's seat that he's vacating so he can go get crushed by Senator Cruz. Woo! Yes. This seat is very, very important because, as you know, we've got a razor-thin majority in the U.S. House right now, right? So how important would it be to flip this seat? And I'm looking forward to working with Brandon. But he's got an easy path in November. I've got a harder path in November. But we have the ground game. We've put together the ground game to win this seat. So you need three things to win a campaign, right? You need the three M's: money, message, and manpower. We've got the money. We've just hired a full-time finance director, but she could certainly use your help if you want to go to dayfortexas.com and put a couple bucks into the collection plate. Message. We have the strong conservative message that is what it takes to flip a seat like this. You know, so many times people think, oh, we've got to run some squishy rhino to take on a seat that leans a little blue. No. We need somebody that will articulate conservative values and lay out the clear difference between Democrat policies that don't work and Republican policies that are good for America. And I'm going to do that in Washington. And I'm going to do it unapologetically. I'm going to do it loud. I'm going to do it proud. I won't be quite as loud as Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I am going to stand fast on conservative values. You want to know how I'll vote in Washington? Right here. The U.S. Constitution will be my guiding light on everything that I do, every vote that I take in Washington, D.C. I'm a pro-life Christian. I'm an America First constitutionalist, and I am somebody who will fight and fight and fight for you. Now, the third M that we're talking about, so you need money, you need message, that conservative message, and the third M is manpower. We have over 200 volunteers already, and those are the boots on the ground that we're going to need, door by door, precinct by precinct, house by house, to turn this around. So Dallas County is actually, you know, as you can guess, it's going to be a harder lift than Collin County will be, but we are going to win Dallas County. But we've got a new chair in Dallas County, Colonel Alan West, I think is going to revitalize the party. But with 200 volunteers, and maybe a couple more if you all go to dayfortexas.com, we will have the money and the message and the manpower to flip this seat, and I am looking forward to working hard for you. We had a donor that asked me, Darrel, when you get to Washington, are you going to fight for us? I said, I'm going to fight even when it would be a lot smarter not to fight. So I will fight for you, and I will fight for Texas, and I will fight for this great country. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Coming up next, we're very sad to not have the candidate here herself, but speaking on behalf of the lovely woman who's running for the Texas State Board of Education for District 12, I would like to introduce Kyle Sims.
Woo-hoo! Good evening, Patriots. I apologize Jamie's not here, but she did have other obligations. She's on her way. She will be here shortly. For those that don't know Jamie, she's a mother of three. She believes very strongly in the proper education for our children. And I'll ask you a couple of questions. Have public schools got better in the last 5 years? No. Are you for accountability and transparency? Yeah. Then we need to flip this board. There are 15 board members on that board, 10 Republicans and 5 Democrats. If we've got the majority on that board, why do our schools keep going downhill? Do you also know that the votes on this board are not recorded votes? You have to go watch hours and hours of videos to get the votes for this state board. Jamie is for parental control. She's for getting education, true education back into the schools. Get this indoctrination out, which includes CRT, DEI, whatever acronym you want to use. Right. But we have got to start taking control of our schools. and start giving our kids a chance to survive in this ever-changing world that we're dealing with. If y'all want to follow us, go to jamie4texas.com. We feel real good about this runoff. We think we're going to be in the election for November, but we still need support. We need people to volunteer, block walk, whatever you can do for us. We need y'all's help so we can take this seat and start taking this board back. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Up next, we have a gentleman with 28 years of legal experience, and he is ready to win his race for the 401st District Court Judge position. Please welcome Joel Petrazio.
I want to thank all of you for being here. My name is Joel Petrazio, as he said. I'm here with my wife, Connie, of 26 years. I try to get my kids to be here this evening. I've got 2 at SMU right now and 1 fixing to graduate from high school. So I appreciate your involvement in the party because you're the future of the party. I'm running for district judge because I've been practicing here in Collin County for 28 years. I opened my first law practice right up the street at Park and Central 28 years ago. I was a divorce attorney and I did a lot of family law cases and started doing some criminal cases. But what's important for the people that are electing judges is to make sure that when you pick a judge, you're picking someone that has the experience for all the types of cases that are handled in that courtroom. And I can tell you this, when they created the 401st in 2000, I was up there practicing law in that court. I have done literally hundreds of family law cases in Collin County, from divorce to child custody to child support enforcement, suits affecting the parent-child relationship. Why is that important? It's extremely important for the parties that appear before the court, because you don't want a judge that has to learn an area of the law while they're on the bench. It's important to the moms and the dads that are going before the court and having the court make decisions about the custody of their children. It's important for a judge to have handled lots of those cases, to understand the unique dynamic that is involved in the courtroom, not only with the lawyers, but the parties. I have done, in addition to the family law, a lot of civil cases. What civil cases do they handle? Personal injury, I've handled those cases. Business litigation, I've handled those cases. Real estate transactions, I used to have a title company here in Collin County. I've done all of that. The majority of the work done in the 401st is criminal law. And I started criminal law when I started practicing. And I have done literally in Collin County alone thousands of cases from the misdemeanor level to the felony level. And I've done over 120 federal criminal cases. Experience matters, and it matters most importantly to the parties that appear before the court. I'm going to be asking for you to make your decision based on the most qualified person running in this race. And facts are a stubborn thing, folks. Facts don't lie. The facts are on my side. You know, they have a saying for trial lawyers. If the facts aren't on your side, pound the law. And if the law's not on your side, pound the facts. And if the facts and the law aren't on your side, pound the table and yell like hell. In this race, look at the facts, and the facts are on my side. And I ask that you carefully consider the qualifications that I bring, because I'm going to be ready for that position on day one. My name is Joel Petrazio. I'm asking for your continued support, and I appreciate y'all being here.
Coming up next, it is my pleasure to welcome a loyal defender of Collin County businesses and families. She is running for the Texas House District 61. Please welcome Keresa Richardson.
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy.
Pleasure to be here. I want y'all to know I am the least qualified person to run for the Texas House. You know what? I'm one of you. I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and I am ticked. I am ticked at the dysfunction that's what's going on in the house. So I have been called to go down and kick some booty at the Texas House. I do not understand why they let legislatures go and vote with the Democrats and then change their vote 61 times like the incumbent did. How can you have a fiscal score of 38 and tell me you're a fiscal conservative? That's an F in anybody's book. Don't tell me you're representing the constituents when you're spending everybody's money like it's crazy. Don't tell me when you're taking money from all the liberal groups and then you're going and voting liberal and then coming home and telling me all you accomplished? No. That's not the way this works. People are waking up. You know, actually our county and our nation and our state are moving more conservative because we know these liberal policies do not work. They are failing and we are waking up. We're like a sleeping giant. They've awakened us and we're going to go do something about it. So I am a pistol-packing patriot who's going to go down there and make a difference. Now, as a wife and a mother and a grandmother, everybody thinks I'm just a nice little old lady. Well, I got news for you. Ask my husband. He's lived with me for 40 years, and he knows that I'm not just so nice at times. Now, you threaten my family, you threaten my business, you tell me these things, you're going to see the not nice come out of me. And I'm about to go down there and be not so nice to those people. They don't want me down there. Trust me, I'm not getting money from the left because they don't want me. I'm getting money from moms and pops and grandparents who want to fund my campaign. And we got 35 days left. I need volunteers. I need money. Everybody's been telling you that. I need poll greeters. Most of all, I need prayers because I am a God-fearing Christian and I'm going to go down there and bring my values and my worldview to Austin. And let me tell you, Austin needs it. Austin is, as far as I'm concerned, it's like going to Nineveh. And if y'all know what Nineveh is, I tried to run from this and go the other direction, and God said, no, honey, you're going to Nineveh. Now, I didn't get swallowed by some whale, but I've kind of felt like I've been swallowed, right? I mean, this has been one tough race. They're calling me everything in the book. I didn't even know I was so bad. And truthfully, I am not. You're going to hear all kinds of lies, and they are not true. If you have a question, call me. We'll talk about it. But I want to thank the young Republicans for giving us this opportunity for us old Republicans to get the message out. And you guys, we're just very proud of you and what you're standing for. And we're fighting for you, and we need your help. God bless you. God bless Texas.
That was fantastic. And we're very grateful to have you, Keresa. Thank you. Now, to grace our club's stage for a second time, a true campaign warrior who I am happy to introduce. She is running for the Texas House District number 33. Please welcome Katrina Pierson.
Thank you, Isaac. It's so great to be back with the young Republicans. I mean, you guys, we're going to do our best to hand you a very strong conservative Texas after next session. Woo! If you didn't know, I am running against one of the worst of Dade Phelan's dirty dozen, Justin Holland. And not only did he vote to impeach Ken Paxton, not only did he vote against school choice, but he also voted unanimously with Democrats for gun control. District 33 is one of the most conservative districts in the state, and we are represented by a Democrat. That's going to change on May 28th. I'm going to need your support. As Keresa mentioned, it's getting pretty nasty out there. I, too, am learning a lot about myself. You know, he's also one of the biggest never-Trumpers in the state, and calling me a never-Trumper. Think about that for a second. I was the first Trump supporter in this state, with President Trump from the very beginning in 2015 to the end on stage January 6th, currently still testifying on his behalf. Against those George Soros prosecutors who tried and failed to kick him off the ballot. And they're still going to go after him. Do you know why? Because they are terrified of what people like President Trump and myself bring to the electorate, because we don't apologize, we don't back down. In fact, we double down. And so I, for one, am going to ask for your support as well, whether it be financially, whether it be poll readers, because we're going to lose a lot of people to the convention, and it's Memorial Weekend. And if you know how hard runoffs are, it's even harder now, because the Dirty Dozen is now courting Democrats to come vote in the runoff with the teachers and their spouses and everything else. We are working double time, double hard in the district every day. And I just want to thank the YRs for always being so supportive and including us in all their activities. You guys are great. Thanks for having me.
We have another guest who just arrived, and he'll be joining us here on stage in a second. Please welcome, he's also running for the U.S. House of Representatives for District 32, David Blewett.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you for the introduction. My name is David Blewett. Sorry I'm running late. I was at a different forum, and I got to debate an empty chair. So I was happy to be in front of all of you guys and have a minute or two to talk. My name is David Blewett. I'm running for Congressional 32. It's Pete Sessions' old seat that Colin Allred seemed to have gotten in 2018. They redistricted it in 2022. We lost it 2-1. We lost it 2-1. It is a district that they have nominated the absolute most leftist candidate you could imagine, and they think they've got it. They think they've got it because they redistricted it. They think they've got it because of what happened in 2022. But what they don't know is it's not just a purely Democrat seat because of demographics. It's actually a working class district now. And if you look at the numbers, they are voters that we can get with the right message. When I represented Dallas City Council during COVID, the last couple of years, a lot of things happened. I flipped that seat from a plus 30 Democrat district to us. And I did it because I said that I represent everybody. And that's how you win this seat. Now, my opponent, he's not here, and I don't know exactly what his message was, but in other debates that we've had, his message has been he's going to run hard right and somehow attract the middle and win this seat. And I'm very clear saying that I'm coming at it from a center-right perspective. I'm coming at it from the center, trying to hold the right with a message to independents, and that every single Republican voter is critical and every single Republican voter is needed. We cannot win this with half the party. It's not possible. We have to unite the party. We have to be attractive to the independents. And if we do that with the right message, we have a chance of sending a message to DC. And it would be a shot because they think they've got it. Now, we're all Republicans, so it's pretty easy. I can go around and talk about different issues. It's real simple. You want to talk about the border, you want to talk about budget, you want to talk about Biden, you want to talk about foreign wars. I'm happy to talk about any of it. But my real message is we're all Republicans. This seat is a winnable seat. I am in it to win it. I am not in it just to win a primary and lose in November. If we don't win this thing in November, it is not worth any of our time. We all know the threat. We all know this is a Flight 93 election. We know that if we don't win this thing, we lose the state, we lose the country. It's critically important. This is a seat that can be done. My name is David Blewett. I am running hard for the seat. I won the first round with 46%. I hope to win the runoff and represent you in November and bring it home for all of us. Thank you very much.
He's tall.
Okay.
There we go. Next, we have somebody who I'm really happy to introduce. He is a 7th generation Texan. He's a veteran. He's a man who I've heard speak before, and I can confidently say that he stands by his principles. He's running for the Texas State Senate, District 30. Please welcome Jace Yarbrough.
Not a lot of leash on this thing. Sorry. Hey, everybody. My name is Jace Yarbrough. I'm a seventh-generation Texan, veteran, husband, and father. Raised in a little bitty town outside Abilene, Texas. And if it's not true, it's almost true that I caught the first touchdown pass Colt McCoy ever threw in a regulation football game out in Coleman, Texas, our 7th grade year. After high school, though, I went down to the University of Texas at Austin, studied electrical engineering and political science. We call it government at that school. And then joined the United States Air Force, served as basically leading technical teams for a while to develop new capabilities for DoD weapon systems. I'm running in this race because a number of the institutions that we all have to rely on, from the military to corporations to public schools, libraries, businesses, have been taken over by the left. And the left's not afraid to use them to achieve the ends that they have. And I'll give you an example of that. I mentioned I was active duty Air Force. I continued to serve as a reservist after we separated from active duty, and I went to law school out at Stanford. During my time as a reservist, the mandate came down to go get the COVID-19 vaccine. And I stood up against it. I said no, right? And I fought it every way that I could, including filing for a religious exemption. Part of that process required me to go through an interview with a chaplain. His job was to test the sincerity of my faith. So I was ready for an interrogation, right? The Gestapo's coming for me. Right this way, Major. Sit on your hands, please, Major. And it turned out, though, 15 seconds into the conversation, it was clear that he was an authentic believer and he knew that I was too. We had a great conversation about our upbringing. My granddad was a Southern Baptist pastor, about the scriptures, about some of our favorite authors. And he told me in that interview, he said, "My superiors have instructed me to trick you into saying things that make it easier for them to deny your religious exemption request. Whoever stands up in front of us, claims to be a conservative fighter, has got to be ready and has to have the competence and the steel in their spine to go down and fight for our values against that kind of rot, that kind of institutional takeover." That is how serious the decay in our culture has become. I want to talk about two issues very briefly that matter a lot in this race. I'm now a conservative litigator. I fight for life, religious liberty, medical freedom in the courts. That's what I do by day. But one of the things that I do, my wife and I, we founded a little classical Christian academy. My 5 children go to that academy, and we serve 10 other families and about 30 students up through the 6th grade. I was down in Austin when Jared Patterson laid out HB 900 this past session. Y'all remember HB 900, the Reader Act? What was the point of the Reader Act? To get porn out of public school libraries. Now, the fact that we even have to have that debate in 2023 is an indictment on our culture. The Democrats came after Representative Patterson by claiming that there were certain books that if HB 900 passed would not be allowed in those libraries, and that those books were essential for them to teach their children how to read. I'll give you an example. Representative Hinojosa, a Democrat on the House Education Committee, said, "I have 2 boys, 7 and 9. They're only interested in reading these kinds of books," and she held one up. It was a book that was clearly about feces and flatulence. And she said, "Your bill passes, I can't give my children these kinds of books. This is all they're interested in. They don't learn how to read." Now I want you to think for a minute about the philosophy that underscores that approach, which is, I'm willing to inflame the venial desires of my children in order to get them good at the technique of reading. Now, I want for my children exactly the opposite. I would rather my children be illiterate, but the things of God, good things, noble things, true things, taste good in their mouths, and the things of this world taste bitter, even if they can't put into words why. We have to think fundamentally about so many things. We've lost our way as a culture. We need serious, competent people who have the principles and the courage to go fight effectively in Austin and in Washington, D.C. for values that you and I were raised on, that our parents and grandparents were raised on. And nobody has any business claiming to be a competent leader that doesn't have a proven track record of doing just that. My name's Jace Yarbrough. I'd appreciate your vote for those of you that live in Collin County in Senate District 30. And before I get off the stage, let me say 2 things. There's a little piece of Collin that's in SD 30, all right? Now, it's like a trapezoid. If you are west of Custer, north of the Sam Rayburn Tollway, south of 380, and east of the Dallas North Tollway, that square. You live in there, you're probably in my district, right? If you don't, you're probably in Senator Angela Paxton's district. I had the privilege of being her attorney during the impeachment. Ask me about those stories. I was there on the Senate floor every day of the trial. So that's where my district is. The second thing is this. This runoff happens May 28th. That's the Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend. You're coming back from a beach in Mexico on Tuesday, the 28th of May. Okay, you're not thinking about voting. So don't wait. Monday, May the 20th, first day for early voting for this runoff. That's when you need to go. Monday, May 20th, Jace Yarbrough, Senate District 30. Appreciate you.
Last, but certainly not least, I would like to introduce a man who has spent time both in the rural ranching world using his hands as well as on the highest level of Wall Street and hedge funds. And it's my opinion that a man who has both of those experiences, but is led by God and led by the Holy Spirit, could be a very potent and powerful political weapon in Washington. That is what I believe about the man that I'm about to introduce. So it is with great pleasure and excitement that I would like to introduce the man who's running for the U.S. House of Representatives, District 26. Please welcome Brandon Gill.
Thank you guys so much. It's amazing to be here with the young Republicans. I'll say young people, unfortunately, partially justified, get a bad rap as being a bunch of woke weirdos. But I think the reality is a little bit more than that. There's more to it than that. Because from what I've seen, there's a really strong undercurrent of absolutely based young people in this country. And I think you guys are on the front lines of driving that. And I really, really appreciate it. And it's so good to be here. It's so good to be with y'all. I'll tell y'all a little bit about myself for any of you guys who don't know me. As mentioned, I grew up on a cattle ranch in West Texas, outside of Abilene. If you're driving down the interstate, you'll hit a little town called Clyde, and just south of that is a community called Eula. I grew up with about 300 head of cows, 4 dogs, and a donkey named Barack. And I named him whenever I was young. He is. Graduated from a small rural public high school called Eula in a class of 23 students. Grew up working cows, building fence, driving tractors and backhoes, doing everything you'd expect to do on a cattle ranch, and very providentially made my way up to college at Dartmouth, which is in New Hampshire. And if you know anything about Dartmouth, you know it is a crazy secular and a crazy, crazy liberal place to be. And I was very proud whenever I was there. I led the conservative Christian resistance to the liberal wackos. And I graduated far more conservative and with a much deeper Christian faith than whenever I got there, which was incredible. I had a brief career in finance where I worked in the investment world for several years. Phenomenal career. I literally lived the American dream from a cattle ranch to the investment world. But I was sick of sitting on the sidelines as the left was systematically tearing apart our country. So I left that and I started a conservative media business. Initially, it was an agency to help pundits navigate online censorship because we know that that's a problem. And then I started a news outlet called DC Inquirer, which I started specifically to go to bat for President Trump in the public sphere because nobody else is doing that right now. Unfortunately, not even Fox News will reliably defend our best, most conservative fighters in DC. And it puts us at a disadvantage. Whenever I wasn't doing that, I'd work on documentaries. I helped make a movie called 2,000 Mules a couple of years ago. And last fall, I produced a movie called Police State, which is about how the federal government has been systematically weaponized against conservatives and Christians and patriots just like all of you. And I'll tell you, that came back to bite me in this race that I just got out of. So let me tell you a little bit about it, not to relitigate the primaries, but to tell you a little bit about what conservatives are up against whenever they run for office. I was in a primary with 11 people. Typically, whenever you have a primary that's that broad, that many people, you don't have outside groups get involved because they want to wait until the runoffs. And by outside groups, I mean DC swamp super PACs. But in my case, they knew I was the Trump guy. I was the based guy. And DC does not want Trump-supporting conservative fighters up there. So some DC swamp rats came in and spent $2.2 million against me, only against me, not against anybody else, not in favor of anybody else, just to knock me out of the race. And we're up against kind of a problem because the question we had was there's $2.2 million coming at me. These guys were all over TV. They're all in the mail. They're sending text messages to everybody in the district, and they're saying all kinds of slanderous nonsense. I'll tell you, one of the things that they would tell the district is that I wanted to defund the police. Whenever they say this kind of stuff, they have to cite their sources. So they put this in a mailer and they had a little citation on it. So I looked at the bottom, and the citation was www.policestatefilm.net. And it was because I had made a movie, and I'd been very clear that I think that we need to be defunding an FBI that's weaponized against conservatives, and we should. So, but that's not what the deep state wants to hear. That's not what the swamp wants to hear. So they came after me, and our question was, how do we fight back against this? Because we didn't have $2.2 million to spend in response ads to these guys to answer what they're saying about me. So we did the best we could, but what happened was the grassroots, people just like you guys in the district saw this and they said, these are lies that are being spread against this guy, and you don't even have to like him, you don't have to support him, but you got to at least know the truth. And the grassroots rose up and went door to door and started calling and texting their friends and telling their community groups and their church groups that all of this was nonsense and that this was the Trump bad guy, and that's why they were coming after me. And what happened was we ended up in a crowded field of 11 people, won with 58% of the vote. Because I think that Texas 26, which is Denton County and Cook County and the southern part of Wise County, is looking for a Trump-backed conservative fighter, and that's definitely what I'm going to do. I've been watching what's going on in DC over the past couple weeks, and I've been so disgusted by what's going on. We have a Republican-led House right now. We have a tiny majority. It's one person right now, unfortunately, that's been passing Democrat priorities consistently. We had a $1.2 trillion Nancy Pelosi-style omnibus bill that was passed with a majority, actually, of Republicans against it, relying on Democrat support. We had a FISA bill that allows the deep state intel agencies to spy on American citizens without a warrant. You know, it's bizarre because there's supposed to be a constitution that precludes our administrative agencies from spying on us, but apparently that's not how DC works anymore. And then after that, we had a bill that sent money, billions of dollars of our taxpayer money, our treasury, straight from your pockets to every corner of the globe, and doing nothing about what's happening on our own southern border. It's really, really stomach churning, frankly. But what we're doing is we're going to go. I'm spending the next few months of my campaign making sure that we beat our Democrat opponent, and then doing everything that we possibly can to expand the majority in Washington to help good conservative candidates get elected in swing districts and districts that maybe are an R+1 or an R+2, maybe not as conservative as the one I'm in, maybe Democrat districts that we can flip so that we can expand the majority, take the House, we're going to take back the Senate, and I know that we're going to take back the presidency, and that's the most important thing that can happen this fall. So I want to thank all of you guys for being here. Thank you for all of your support. And with that said, if we have time, I'm happy to take questions as well. If anybody has any questions.
What do you think some pointers are to help get young people out to vote the right way in November? Because young people typically lean to the left, but I think they see the Democratic Party has gone way too far to the left. It's left them without a party, and I think we have an opening as conservatives to say, hey, you want common sense, you follow logic, the conservatives, the Republican Party is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Republican Party right now is making a lot of inroads with young people. One issue in particular is, I think, free speech. The sort of political mantra of a lot of younger people is focused on liberty and being able to do what we want to do when we want to do it. And then we're having the woke sort of social, institutional engine crimp that. And people are sick of being told what you can and can't say and when you can and can't say things. And I think that that's been one issue that we have made a ton of inroads with young people. But I think they're also seeing what Biden's economy is doing. They're seeing that Joe Biden is flooding our country with illegal aliens who don't speak our language, are not a part of our culture, and are undermining our working class, making it harder to buy a home, making it harder to get a decent paying job. And they're tired of it. They want a government that actually works for American citizens. And I think that that's what we need to be telling young people.
Hey, I'm Keresa. I work with Turning Point at UT Dallas. When I table, you will see a lot of young people that are moderates and conservatives, but they do not speak out. There is a very vocal minority on the left that is very, very loud. Just today I passed by a protest for Palestine. It's been going on for over 6 to 7 days now, continuously. We try to get these people in, but they're just so afraid of being canceled. What kind of advice do you think I should, what should I be doing as a table? I get canceled all the time, but it's not really a big deal for me at this point. But they're afraid they'll lose their friends and their social group.
Yeah. The question was, how do we get young people involved in politics knowing that there's this widespread fear of getting canceled? I definitely dealt with that whenever I was in college. I was part of the rabble-rousing conservative group there, newspaper. And my wife, in fact, she was in a sorority and they rank the girls in the sorority, right? Based on community service and how involved you are. She was the number 3 girl in a sorority. And the night Trump got elected, she tweeted out, "No matter what happens tonight, Jesus Christ is still king." And the next morning, the girls went to her and they texted her and said, "You're no longer welcome in the sorority house. We're changing all of the locks. None of the girls feel comfortable around you anymore." So I totally get what it's like. I've experienced that. My wife has experienced that. And it's very, very difficult. But I do think that there's something liberating about getting past that and realizing that, I can say whatever I want and you don't have to like me, but there actually are a lot of people who agree with what I'm saying. And the more you realize, the more you kind of come together and see that there are a lot of young people who don't care about getting canceled, who believe that free speech is a fundamental right, who believe that a sovereign nation should have real borders, who believe that we can't just tax and spend our way to prosperity. I think that once we come together, we start to form a new group, and people are much more amenable to speaking openly.
Can you remind me who you endorsed in the State Board of Education race in District 12?
I can't. In the State Board of Education race, I endorsed Jamie Coleman right there. I think that she is a great conservative fighter, and that's exactly what we need on the state board. Somebody who is going to fight against pornography in our schools, pervert teachers who want to push woke, disgusting nonsense on kindergartners and elementary school kids. And I think that Jamie's the person to do that. So
$2 million was spent against you in the primary. That means November, they're going to put all their efforts that and more. So how can the people in this room support you so you're elected in November?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So the question was, there was a lot of money spent against me. And I'll say what was disappointing about the money spent against me is a lot of that came from all kinds of sources. But one of them was the moderate DC swamp Republican money. And what's frustrating is that we actually have a one-person majority in the House right now, and if we could bring the party together, why don't we use that money, instead of attacking other Republicans, why don't we use it to help get other Republicans elected? Maybe get some Democrats kicked out of office and get some good conservatives in. But to your question, there's a good chance that they do come after me really hard this fall. And the best thing that we can do is exactly what happened in the primary, which is going door to door and texting and calling your friends and just getting the word out. Because no matter how much money they spend against any good conservative candidate, and this goes for everybody who's running, getting a call from your friend is going to go a lot further than an attack ad on broadcast. So that's how we can fight back. And the grassroots are so much stronger and so much more powerful than DC gives them credit for, and I think that my race is a good example of that. Good. Yeah, let's do one more. Yep.
Do you see an answer to the affirmatively furthering fair housing rule that was enacted by Obama in 2015? That regulation allows the federal government to control zoning in cities that take community development block grants and other housing grants. That's why we see all the high-density apartments now. Cities are under the threat of a lawsuit if they don't rezone plots of land and approve apartments for that land.
The question was about zoning regulations that's coming from DC. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing we can do to fight back against that is to get President Trump back in the White House so that we can take control of our administrative agencies, chop them down, and then have a Republican majority in the House that can roll back these regulations. So I'm with you on that. So thank you guys so much for having me out here. It's great to be here, and thank you all for coming out.
Before we eat, drink, and be merry, if you could, what we do at every event that the Plano Young Republicans hosts is we get a big group photo. That is how we spread our message on social media. That is how people know where the energy is at and where the people are at. So once I step down from here, if we could get everybody, and I'll probably move this table, we can get people on the stage, people down here, maybe some of the candidates in front. We would love to get a big group photo. And then after that, if you want a photo with a particular candidate, maybe next to the beautiful banner over here, we can do that afterwards. But let's do a group photo now, and then we can have a good time. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight.